Welcome back. All right, so I haven't done a video outside in a long time, so I'm going to do that. Um, Actually, no, I just got a green screen. Isn't it beautiful? Anyways, I wanted to talk about Marvel. So yesterday I started Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I'm two-thirds of the way through Wakanda Forever as I try to get through these Marvel properties and keep caught up. But I think I've figured out where the issue lies with Marvel right now. First off, the big name heroes are basically gone, right? So you're counting on what essentially should be or have been seen as secondary heroes to carry the franchise. And I think that's an issue. The other problem I had, and I'm only halfway through Quantumania, but the fact that it just goes right into the quantum realm and it's all CGI and you can tell that it's CGI, and to me it kind of takes me out of it. So I mean, it was great to see Bill Murray in there, and I thought he was entertaining and all of that stuff. But it feels like with the Marvel movies. So if we go back to the first Iron Man, it is Tony Stark. He's a prisoner, and he's got to figure all this out, and it's very grounded. The original Iron Man is a very grounded movie. Tony Stark, though he's a billionaire and he has all of this cash and everything that we could never dream of, he's still presented as a relatable character. He is still presented as a, good guy who has made some mistakes and he's looking to correct them. And then, if you look at the original Thor, there's off-world stuff, but what really made Thor work is the stuff where he's a fish out of water on Earth, and he doesn't know how to act. He doesn't know how to react to things when he's no longer a god, right? Now, the thing is with comic books, there's limited formulas for how these are put together. There's limited formulas for how the storylines work. So you also have the repetition problem, which is going on with these for sure. Where at the start of the movie, I'm like, okay, I know what's happening. I know what's going on. And so in Quantumania, they spend way too much time getting to Kang, way too much time. I felt like, okay, you could have cut out maybe a half an hour of this, whatever. I don't even want to call it a plot. Like it's action stuff and there's talking, but there isn't really character development. And it feels like that's what's missing. Like this movie should have had the first 20 minutes with Scott and his daughter, and whatever falling out happens there, and we should have had some kind of fleshing out of their relationship. And instead it's just, hey, oh, we're in the quantum realm. So I'm out of jail now. We're in the quantum realm, and I don't find myself connecting with movies from the Marvel Cinematic Universe now like before. I do think that the way that they're being put together, where it's just one after another, also hurts it. I think it hurts the product. I didn't see Guardians in the theater because I was like, yeah, and I don't think I'm the only one. I know I've talked about that before, the Marvel fatigue, but I wanted to do this video because it feels like I've kind of narrowed down where the problem is. That it is really, they just don't have the heart. They don't have the heart. They don't have the humanity. And it was the argument against DC. So I remember when Marvel worked and DC didn't. And one of the reasons that was seen that DC didn't work was DC has heroes that are usually alien or you can't identify with them. They don't have a storyline that we as normal everyday people could identify with. And Marvel did. Marvel was keeping it grounded. And now we're seeing, like in Wakanda Forever, the villains are fish people. Old Alexi Sale tape I had way back in the day was the Fish People tapes, and it was hit and miss here and there, but there were some really good jokes. And as soon as I saw the start of Wakanda Forever, I'm like, it's the Fish People. Are we really doing the? And I understand. And again, people are gonna say, well, that's in the comics. I get it, but it's important to not just take what was in the comic books and put it forward, but have that humanity there, have that relatability there. And so with Wakanda Forever, even though it's a well put together movie, I don't really identify with any characters. I don't identify with any of the plights of the characters. I don't. I just don't. I don't know. The emotional investment isn't there, and I think that's why we've seen the numbers drop. People want to have a connection with the characters. They want to feel like, even though it's this fantastical story, that it's grounded. And the first Ant-Man movie was well grounded, and it was fine. And now this one, and they brought in MODOK, who looks, I think he looks awful. I just, as soon as they showed him, I'm like, can't be MODOK. That doesn't look right. Something's gone wrong here. And then, oh, it's MODOK. Oh, really? Okay, it's MODOK. We're doing this now. All right, because I hadn't read any spoilers, so I didn't know MODOK was in it. So I find myself saying I don't, and then there's the Kang problem, right, where the actor's got some problematic issues, which likely will preclude him from being in other Marvel properties. But I don't find Kang to be a character that's engaging. I actually found him more engaging in the first season of Loki than I've found him in anything since. And I don't find the, I don't know. It felt like with Thanos there was a real threat, and Thanos was this dangerous individual. I don't get that same feeling with Kang. And again, it might just be that there's a cartoonishness to Kang that maybe wasn't there with Thanos. And initially it was like the look of Thanos in the Avengers, two-parter that finished up with Endgame. He looks completely different than his first appearance in the movies, where he was it felt like he was bigger and more purple and more alien looking, and they humanized him a little bit when they actually had him as a character in the movies, which is what you should do. But I just feel like they've gone so far into the alien realms, and they have this $200 million budget, which I don't think helps them either. I sometimes think that movies are better when you're on a budget that constrains what you can do. Because then you have to have the character development. You have to have those emotional connections with the audience rather than just say, well, we've got these special effects we can do and we'll just develop this. And it goes from storyboard to storyboard, and it kind of turns into what the Star Wars prequels were, where there was no emotional connection with the characters. There's no fleshed out characters. It's just check out our special effects. And I feel like that's where Marvel's at now. And to some extent, Star Wars has stayed in that as well. Which, again, you need to create characters people care about. You need to create storylines that seem at least grounded in reality on some level. And the issue I've had with Flash is not just with the Flash. They never explain the science. They always just have a throwaway line they throw out there like, oh, this happened. Okay, I don't think the science works for that, but okay, as long as you guys are happy. So, I guess the question I would ask is, am I the only one that feels this disconnect between the humanity of the original MCU movies and where they are now? So, like, if you watch the first Iron Man and then you throw on this new Ant-Man movie, I really think that the disconnect between how the stories are told and how the movies work, I think it's huge. I think it's absolutely huge. I don't even try to get my wife to watch the Marvel movies anymore. I've told her, I said, if you didn't like the other ones, you're really not going to like these ones. And it's one of those things where she can handle the movies where there's an emotional connection between the audience and the characters, and in these there isn't one. There isn't one. Like the other night, I threw on the movie Barbarian for her because she hadn't seen that. And I was fine with watching it again, and it was great, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was really creative, and I was really proud that I hadn't spoiled it for her. So if you haven't seen Barbarian, great movie, low budget, a movie you go into cold. If you don't know the storyline, it's much better than it would be if you went in knowing what the storyline was, and it feels like there's movies, and then there's unplayable video games, and it feels like some of these Marvel movies now are video games you watch, you don't actually get to interact with. So that really doesn't interest me. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Marvel and where it's at and where it's going? And am I wrong? Was there no emotional connection to the characters before either? But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And yeah, pretty good green screen. I think I'll keep it. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.